Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will continue our Kotlin learning sessions with ChatGPT. This is video number 2. If you want to see the first video, I'll leave it here. Let's continue. So we stopped at functions last time. We'll continue from there. So I asked ChatGPT what's next, and ChatGPT gave me a whole bunch of things. The next topic is classes and objects. Let's go ahead and copy the code. So here we have a class called person. We instantiated the class, changed its variables, and called a method on it. So yeah, class defines a person. Class defines the class, and we can create an instance of the class. Here we had a class, and we are creating an instance of that, and we are accessing and modifying the properties, and we are calling a method belonging to that class. Great. There's more. Instead of setting the values to the properties, we can directly set them in the constructor. So to do that, we write the code like this. So here we defined a class. We said that it accepts string and an integer, and then we go ahead and have a function that prints the name and age of that person. Let's run this. Okay, hi, my name is Bob and I'm 30 years old. Okay. Oh, string is an immutable. Oh, I see. So in this case, the name is val and the age is var, which means you can change the age, but you can never change the name again. Let's try to see if we can do something here. Person dot age equals person dot age plus, right? So imagine the person became 1 year older, then it changes to 31 from 30. Let's run this. So 30 first and 31 next. But I guess if I change the name, it won't allow me. If I run this, I should get an error. Yeah, val cannot be reassigned. This is because the name was defined as a val. Okay, you can also specify the default values in the constructor. Okay, so we can say, I'm just gonna copy paste. So in this case, we just instantiated a person, but we didn't assign any values to the name or the age. So it should take the default values. The default is unknown and the age is 0. Yeah, my name is unknown and I am 0 years old because we didn't assign any values. If we assign the values, we get an error here because the name is a val, it cannot be changed, and the age is an integer, so we cannot assign a string to it. And what I'm going to do is change this to var so that we can play around. Okay, I'm able to change it. Let's do and call the introduce once again. Okay, in the first statement, it was just taking the default values, and once we assigned it, it got the new values and printed them. Cool. All right, let's go to the next topic. So Kotlin is doing collections next. Okay, first type of collections is lists. Lists are immutable and mutable as well. Okay, let's copy this. So the first list is called fruits, and it's an immutable list, which means you cannot change the values of it or add or delete more once you set it up. And the second one is called mutable fruits, which you can add, delete afterwards. Let's run this. Yeah, the first one is just printed the first one at position 0, and the second here we were able to add cherry. Now if I go ahead and try to add something here, it wouldn't allow me, I assume. Yeah, I don't even see the add option in fruits because it's defined as it's defined as a list. Okay, let's go to sets. Okay, sets are mutable and immutable as well. Again, same story, but sets will ignore the duplicates, right? So here there is 1, 2, 3 and 3, but 3 already exists, so it's just gonna ignore it when I print it. And here it's a mutable set, which means I can add or delete more, so I'm able to add 4 to this. Yeah, so in the first one, 1, 2, 3, 3, we instantiated with 1, 2, 3 and 3, but it ignored these second 3. And in the second set, we call it a mutable set, so we are able to add number 4 to it. Next is maps. Maps are key value pairs. Okay, again same story, we have immutable and mutable. It's interesting that the default in these scenarios is immutable. So when you just say map off, it gives you it creates it as an immutable map, which means you cannot change it. If you want it to be immutable, you need to explicitly say that it's a mutable one. Oh, we have an error here. This is because I think through this statement we informed Kotlin that this is a string. This only accepts string values, but we are trying to assign age here. That's why we're getting an error. But let's ask ChatGPT before we go to these things. Okay, the good thing about ChatGPT is when you point out the mistakes, it goes through them and realizes what went wrong and gives you the better answer. So in this case, it's saying maps in Kotlin associate keys to values. Both must have consistent types. And if the value for age was an integer, this map would expect keys to be string and values to be a mix of string and integer, right? Which isn't allowed in Kotlin's strongly typed system unless explicitly handled. So we need to explicitly call it out that this can accept integers and strings by this code. Let's do that here. So here we again created a mutable map, but we are saying it can accept any values, any data types. So now we are able to add age as one of the values, which is accepting integers. I'm gonna run this. Yeah, so name is Bob and age is 30. Cool. Kotlin is very strongly typed indeed. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. Oh, actually, let's go back to filters. Okay, so Kotlin has Kotlin collections have many built-in functions: filters, maps, and for each. Let's copy all of this. Okay. Okay, so the first one is filter. Out of this list, it's able to filter and return only the values that match this condition. So it refers to every item inside that collection, in this case a list, and it's only returning values for which the condition is %2 is 0, which means only even numbers. And in the second one, we are able to map for every item in the list with this value. So here it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we are multiplying each of them by itself. So it should be 1, 4, 9, 16, and 25. And this last one is a for each, which is also very simple. You just iterate through every item inside that list. Let's run this. So yeah, first one, it ignored 1, 3, and 5 because percentile 2 is not 0 for those. In the second one, it just multiplied every item by itself. So we got 1, 4, 9, 16, and 25. The last one is a standard looping through every item. Cool. All right, let's move to the next topic. Okay, so null safety in Kotlin. I heard about this, that Kotlin has very strong null safety. So in Kotlin, variables are not nullable by default. Okay, let's try it out very quickly ourselves. So if I define something as name equals Bob and I try to assign name equals null, it should throw an error. Yeah, so null cannot be the value of a non-null type. So by default, all variables are null. Why is this one throwing an error? Is it print line? No, it's throwing an error because name is null. Okay. All right, so let's see how to define nullable types. If you want to define nullable types, you have to use the question mark symbol after the type. I see. So here I have to say something like string question mark, which means value, you can assign strings or null to this variable. If I run this now, yeah, it just prints null. Okay, what if I try to access some property from this? We got some error. It says only safe or not null. I guess we'll learn about this in a minute. So we have to go through the safety operator. When working with nullable types, you can use safe call operator to safely access properties or methods without causing a null pointer exception. I see. So instead of just saying dot length, you should put question mark dot length, which would prevent this crash. Okay, so when we put question mark dot length, if the variable value is null, it just returns null when you're trying to access its properties. Cool. Okay, then the next one is called Elvis operator, question mark semicolon. You can provide a default value if the variable is null using the Elvis operator. Okay, so let's say we want to return 0 instead of saying null when the length is when you access the length property of the name. In that case, what we do is seems like dot length. No, let me just copy it, it's easier. Actually no, I got it. So sorry. So in this case, name is null. So if you try to print the name, it will crash because it will return null if you print the name. But if you wanted to return a default value, then you put question mark semicolon and then it will return default. Let's run this. Yeah, it just printed default. So I assume this will be usable in scenarios like, let's say the one that we were using earlier. If I want to print the length of the name, let's see how it will work. Name question mark dot length question mark dot 0. Is that how it is? So let's run this. Yeah. So here what I'm doing is, if the name is null, dot length will not crash because we used safe call operator question mark dot. but it will return null. But I don't want to print the length as null of anything. I want it to be 0 if it's null. So I use this Elvis operator and it prints 0. Okay, moving on. If you are certain a nullable variable is not null, you can use 2 exclamations to force Kotlin to treat it as a non-nullable. Avoid 2 exclamations unless you are absolutely sure that the variable is not null. Okay, it's basically a not null assertion. So I'm going to copy this and then it outputs 6 when I assign this to null and then print. If I use just this, it will work fine, right? Name question mark dot length. This will not crash, right? But if I put double exclamation marks, the not null assertion, this throws a nullable pointer exception because it's treating this part as a not null data type. There you have it. You have an exception. I'm curious about why we called it the Elvis operator earlier. This part. Let's ask ChatGPT. It's called Elvis operator after the iconic hairstyle of the singer Elvis Presley. If you tilt your head slightly, the hairstyle resembles an emoji face with swooping Elvis-like hairdo. Ah, I see now. Okay, someone has a sense of humor. Okay, that's enough for today. So we are going to summarize. So today we learned classes and objects. We created and used classes with properties and methods. We explored constructors for initializing objects. Then we learned about collections, lists, sets, and maps. We also learned filter, map, and for each, which are available for all collections. Then we learned about the null safety features of Kotlin. Everything is not nullable by default. If you want it to be nullable, put a question mark after the variable type name, data type. And if you want to call some properties on variables, nullable variables, you put a question mark dot. It's called safe call operator. If you want to return a default value, you use a Elvis operator, question mark colon. And then if you're sure that something is not null, even though it's declared as a nullable value, you put 2 exclamation marks, which is called not null assertion. All right, so we'll continue with the next topics in another video. Thanks for watching. I hope you like the video and share it with your friends so that they can also learn Kotlin along with me. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.